How's it going, good people of YouTube? This is Fresh Pair returning for another humble performance review, and today we take the Nike Zoom Ascension to the test and check how it performs. I've played in my pair for 6 days, or a total of 15 hours of hooping across different types of courts. But before we go to the review, please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to my YouTube channel as well so you won't miss out on my upcoming performance reviews. You may also add me on Instagram because that's where I am most of the time. Peep my website as well for the full transcript of this video and more. All the links will be in the description box below, so do check them out. With that out of the way, it's time to ascend. Well, sort of. On to the review. The Nike Zoom Ascension is basically a low-top shoe. Now the upper material is predominantly mesh on top of textile without any fuse reinforcement. Now this also features what Nike calls fly stitch, which for me is basically just thread that is stitched on top of the mesh at the sides. Now take note, this is definitely not woven material. Now the tongue is synthetic with foam sections, while the throat is a softer type of mesh with larger perforations. Meanwhile, the material at the heel and ankle is also mesh but with thin foam pads. There is an internal plastic heel counter that I find rather flimsy. Zoom is used at the forefoot and it is encased in a full-length foam midsole which is Phylon. The rubber outsole has aggressive full-length herringbone that feels durable, which is probably the only thing that is durable about the shoe. The treads are thick, stiff, and adequately spaced. Though not labeled, I think this is most likely Nike's XDR or extra durable rubber. Now as for weight, this feels light for me when worn during games. It does not feel clunky as well. Now frankly, this feels like a running shoe when you put this on. Let's check the traction. I've played in my pair across different courts and the traction was fine for the most part. Zero problem on clean courts. However, it's on moderately dusty to really dusty courts where things can be problematic. The rubber outsole is a dust magnet. Now, if you don't wipe the outsole, you will be skating. I'm used to wiping the outsole with my hands as it is second nature for me, but if you're not into that habit, this is a no-go for you. Otherwise, just wipe the outsole as often as you can when playing on courts with some dust. I think the traction of the shoe could have been more consistent had the surface of the rubber treads been tapered instead of flat. Now that would have given the outsole enough angle not just to simply brush against the floor but to really bite it. Question: is this good for outdoor hooping? Yes sir, the outsole can take the beating of outdoor courts. Again, the rubber treads can withstand the high friction on rough surfaces, but make no mistake, the outsole will wear out eventually, but here it will take a while. There are also 6 flex grooves at the forefoot outsole and they help with the smooth heel-toe transition of the shoe. It's pretty standard here, nothing fancy. Let's head to cushioning. While the forefoot zoom is nowhere near impressive as unlocked zoom, I think that it still provides average to a little below average responsiveness. It does not work like trampoline, but it also does not feel dead. If you're looking for great forefoot bounce, it's not here, and I wasn't expecting it either. But if you prefer something that's a little more stable with just a little bounce, this may fit the bill. On hard heel strikes, the heel foam gave me average impact protection. It's also definitely not spectacular here, but I've had no aches and pains in any way. In my opinion, this basic heel cushioning setup feels a little better than the heel cushioning of the Nike Kyrie 2, and the Kyrie 2 even has zoom at the heel. That says a lot, but that's just my experience. If you want a bit more cushioning, replace the stock insole with Ortholite or other similar PU insoles. Just note that it will take up extra space. Now as for the shoe's court feel, I found it to be great because of the basic cushioning setup. There was not much between my foot and the floor other than the relatively thin foam midsole, cheap insole, and rubber outsole. Let's go to the fit. This feels true to size, and if you prefer a bit of wiggle room at the toes like I do, stick with your true size. But if you want a snug fit, go a half size down. For wide footers, I suggest going true to size because going a half size up will give you more length than what you need. Apparently, the lacing system is mainly responsible for the shoe's containment. This has 6 lace loops plus 2 eyelets near the ankle. Fly stitch keeps the loops locked in place. In fact, the loops are glued onto the mesh, presumably for added durability and lacing stability. And I understand why, because you don't want the loops to be moving in any way. Lastly, the laces are the flat type. They're all basic, but they work. Here's why. The lacing system together with the mesh upper allowed me to lace tight, particularly at the midfoot. I was able to reduce the gap at the throat between the lateral and the medial, thus allowing the upper to really hug my midfoot for that one-to-one fit. And because the throat is really soft, it also did not hinder the sides from closing in. As a result, midfoot lockdown is superb. This is the best feature of the shoe for me. I have 2 concerns though. One is the absence of a tab at the throat. Sometimes it got difficult to lace up properly because the throat tended to move sideways or got crumpled. A tab at the throat where I can insert the laces could have kept the throat in place. 2 is that it got uncomfortable after I laced up to the 2 eyelets near the ankle collar. I felt some pinching and it felt like the shoe was cutting my ankles. The thin tongue and thin foam pads at the ankle collar did not help. Now ventilation is average. I expected this to be really breathable, but I guess I was expecting too much. The textile underneath the mesh reduces airflow, but not to the point that my feet got soaked in sweat. Let's talk about the support. While the mesh upper is soft, 3 things help minimize the stretch of the mesh during sharp sideward movements such as cuts, crossovers, and lateral stops. 1. The fly stitch or threads stitched at the lateral. 2. The swoosh TPU overlay. And 3. The lateral outsole wing, which is the part of the rubber outsole that extends to a little above the midsole. Here's the interesting part. There is an area of the shoe where those 3 things almost meet, and that spot is strategic precisely because it is where support during hard lateral motions is most needed. It is this, the lateral section where the forefoot and midfoot meet. By making the fly stitch, the TPU swoosh overlay, and the lateral wing meet at this high stress area, the mesh becomes adequately reinforced. I think that it is a simple approach that does wonders in terms of lateral motion support, so props to whoever designed this. Still, I don't know how much punishment the mesh can take, but I suspect that this is not the best option for heavier hoopers. Some sections of the mesh without fly stitch might rip apart. I weigh about 70 kilograms or about 154 pounds in case you wanted a reference point. This also has an outrigger and it protrudes just enough to minimize the possibility of ankle rolls and unstable footsteps. Yes sir, minimize not prevent. Two different things. Now the heel counter is rather flimsy, but for some reason I've had no issues with it in terms of support. It was still able to provide heel lockdown no matter the type of footwork. The range of motion is very good when you don't lace all the way to the two eyelets at the ankle collar. If you do, you'll have reduced range of movement at the ankles and some discomfort. You might also enjoy the range of motion at the forefoot during curls off screens, thanks to the combination of the flex grooves at the outsole and the softness of the forefoot mesh. Now overall, the Nike Zoom Ascension does not have superb support, but I'm not saying the support here is garbage. Rather, all I'm saying is that the support of the shoe is not for everyone. I'm not quite heavy and I'm also light on my feet, and I found the support to be just enough. Based on my experience, the Nike Zoom Ascension is a shoe that is pretty straightforward, mainly because of its basic setup. There are no fireworks here, but the shoe works just enough to help you turn your game on fire. On a side note, this could double as a running shoe for me, but that's another story for another day. In the end, I give the Nike Zoom Ascension a grade of B+, which is equivalent to a grade of 87 to 89 points out of a maximum 100. That is it for now guys. Do like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel as well so you won't miss out on upcoming performance reviews. Hit my website for the full transcript of this review and other reviews that I have already posted. Follow me on Instagram as well because that's where the regular action goes. All the links are in the description box below, so do check them out. If you have questions, post them below and I'll try to answer them to the best of my abilities. Again, thank you for all the support. I really appreciate it. Much love everyone. Until next time guys, peace!